Can you spot when someone is lying on live television? In this chilling case, a man accused of murder appears on camera, and his body language reveals everything. But that's just the beginning of a terrifying story that includes 2 victims and a dramatic arrest. The tragic case of Kenya Monge, a 19-year-old girl who disappeared after a night out with her friends, captured the attention of many. That fateful night, Kenia had been enjoying a well-deserved girls' night out in Aurora, Colorado, after a long week of work and school. What started out as a normal night turned into a nightmare when Kenya disappeared without a trace. Her disappearance set off alarm bells for her family, especially when her belongings, including her purse and phone, were found forgotten in a bar. As the hours passed with no sign of her, growing concern turned into a desperate search. Kenya's father, Tony Lee, immediately took matters into his own hands when he realized that time was running out. Even though Colorado law required a 72-hour waiting period before launching an official missing persons investigation, Tony wasn't willing to wait. He began calling everyone who might have been in contact with his daughter that night, determined to find her before it was too late. One name stood out among the messages on Kenya's phone: Travis Forbes, a man she had supposedly met that night, and initially showing up with a disturbing message claiming to be the guy in the creepy white van. Travis became the focus of Tony's personal investigation. His story, claiming he had only offered to give Kenia a ride before she left with another man at a gas station, didn't sit well with Tony. The father's instincts told him something was seriously wrong, but without the support of law enforcement, he felt helpless. But he couldn't let that stop him. Tony arranged a personal meeting with Travis and even armed himself with a gun, fully prepared to confront the man he believed had more to do with his daughter's disappearance than he seemed. At the gas station where they met, the police intervened thanks to his wife's warning, who raised concerns about the encounter, trying to prevent any confrontation from occurring. Although they were unable to arrest Travis at the time, Tony felt an undeniable dread as he shook his hand. His instincts told him that Travis had been the last person to see Kenia alive. The unsettling feeling only grew when investigators discovered that Travis's van reeked of bleach, a strong indication that something sinister had occurred. The smell of bleach was all too familiar to Tony, who had watched countless crime shows and knew full well that it meant someone was trying to hide evidence. And meanwhile, the police were still unable to make an arrest due to lack of concrete evidence, but suspicions surrounding Travis continued to grow. As the days turned into weeks, Tony refused to give up the search for his daughter, even going so far as to search dumpsters and alleys, fearing the worst. The emotional toll on the family was immense, but Tony hid his pain, unwilling to give up the only thing that kept them going: hope. As the search for Kenia continued, Tony and his family clung to hope, but the reality was becoming harder to ignore. With each passing day, Travis Forbes remained a person of interest, but police were unable to pin any solid evidence on him. Despite the lack of immediate results, Tony did not give up. His suspicions about Travis grew stronger, especially after disturbing details about the van's condition emerged. The bleach-soaked interior of the vehicle sent a chilling message. This was no ordinary disappearance. Things took a turn when veteran Denver detective Nash Guruli entered the scene. Gurul, known for his no-nonsense attitude and keen investigative skills, quickly mobilized his team to scour the area for potential leads. They canvassed neighborhoods, interviewed potential witnesses, and collected surveillance footage to try to piece together Kenia's final moments. A security camera at an apartment complex provided a glimpse of Kenia that night, though it only raised more questions. She appeared very intoxicated, which was odd considering she rarely drank. This unusual behavior led detectives to believe that Kenia may have been drugged, likely with a date rape drug, further complicating the investigation. Despite mounting evidence against Travis, the case was far from solved. As time went on, tension mounted for both police and Kenia's family. It wasn't until Travis's employer, who ran a local bakery, noticed something suspicious that the case began to gain momentum. She recalled seeing Travis on the bakery's video surveillance cameras behaving strangely in the days after Kenia disappeared. He was wearing long cleaning gloves, and one day, he walked into the office and unplugged the recorder, a detail that immediately caught her attention. She also recalled him keeping a large cooler in the bakery's freezer, something completely out of character for him. Travis's behavior was becoming more and more erratic, but without concrete evidence, the police remained stuck. Then came another disturbing discovery: a freshly burned barrel behind the bakery. Although investigators hoped this would lead to a breakthrough, the lack of DNA or fingerprints left them frustrated. Despite the setbacks, Gurul was determined not to let Travis get away. He continued to interrogate him. Although Travis, skilled at deflection and manipulation, avoided giving any useful information. When Detective Gurul pressed him, Travis asked him a chilling question: "Do you think I'm a psychopath or a sociopath?" It was clear that he enjoyed toying with the detective, which made Gurul wonder how many dark secrets Travis was hiding. As if the situation couldn't get any stranger, Travis dared to go on live television to try and clear his name. In an interview with a reporter, he denied being involved in Kenia's disappearance, but his body language gave him away. "Since you're a person of public interest, let me ask you this. Did you murder her?" "No." "Did you sexually assault her?" "No." "Did you kidnap her?" "No." Nodding your head while denying something is a telltale sign that someone is lying. In this case, the suspect was trying to clear his name during a live news segment, but his contradictory body language gave him away. The truth was in his body language. It was all there. Just when the case seemed stuck, another victim entered the scene. Lydia Tillman, in a disturbingly similar attack. Lydia had been brutally assaulted in Fort Collins, sexually assaulted, and left for dead when her apartment was set on fire. Forbes's signature move was evident in this case as well. He had doused Lydia with bleach to cover his tracks. However, Lydia survived, becoming one of the few women who lived to tell the tale. Lydia Tillman's survival became a pivotal moment in the case. Despite the horrific attack, Lydia's quick thinking saved her life. She managed to jump out of a second-story window after Forbes set fire to her apartment. And although she suffered serious injuries, including a stroke, she fought to stay alive. It was during her recovery that police discovered a crucial piece of evidence: DNA under Lydia's fingernails. This small piece of evidence proved crucial in linking Travis Forbes to the crime. Lydia had fought back, and that fight left behind the DNA that would eventually unlock the mystery of Kenya Monge's disappearance. According to Forbes, after luring her into his van under the guise of helping her, he sexually assaulted her while she was unconscious. He then strangled her to death, disposed of her body, and attempted to erase any trace of the crime by cleaning her body and van with bleach. Forbes even admitted to burning some of Kenia's personal items to destroy evidence. But it was his detailed description of where he had buried Kenia's body that finally brought some peace to his grieving family. Forbes led investigators to a remote area where they found Kenia's remains buried deep in the woods. The find, while heartbreaking, at least allowed her family to bury her properly. As sentencing approached, Travis Forbes faced the full weight of the legal system for his heinous crimes. His detailed confession to both the assault on Lydia and the murder of Kenia ensured that he would never hurt anyone again. Forbes was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For the Monge family, while no sentencing could bring Kenia back, there was some sense of justice in knowing that the man responsible for so much pain would be behind bars for the rest of his life. The case left a lasting impact on both the victims' families and the community at large. Tony Lee, Kenia's father, channeled his grief into action. He created a foundation in Kenia's memory, focused on supporting families of missing people. The foundation also raises awareness about the importance of acting immediately when someone goes missing and provides resources to families in need. Tony's advocacy work became a powerful force for good, helping other families with the same tragic fate as his own. In interviews, Tony often speaks of how Kenia's death, while devastating, has indirectly saved the lives of other young women. The work of his foundation is a living legacy to Kenia, ensuring that her memory lives on through the help it offers to others. Lydia Tillman's recovery was nothing short of miraculous. Despite the physical and emotional trauma she suffered, Lydia chose to move forward with her life in a way that inspired others. She refused to be defined by the attack, and, through her journey, demonstrated the incredible power of resilience and forgiveness. Lydia's decision to forgive Travis Forbes, despite the suffering he had caused her, became a defining moment in the case. Her ability to find peace and reject hatred was an extraordinary testament to the strength of the human spirit. Lydia has often spoken of her path to recovery, not just physically, but emotionally. She rejected the idea of living in fear or anger and opted for a life of love, peace, and healing. His journey has touched countless lives, proving that even in the darkest of times, it is possible to find light and move forward. The case of Travis Forbes and his crimes also served as a sobering reminder of the need for vigilance in our communities. Forbes, known as the Bleach Monster for his obsessive attempts to eliminate evidence, was able to elude capture for a time, but in the end, the determination of investigators, the bravery of survivors like Lydia, and the persistence of Kenia's family saw justice served. The legacy of this case extends beyond the courtroom, offering lessons about perseverance, the importance of family, and the resilience of the human spirit. The world may always remember Travis Forbes for his cruel actions, but it will also remember Kenya Monge and Lydia Tillman for their lasting impact, one through the work of her family foundation, and the other through her powerful message of forgiveness and survival. If you liked this story, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up so you don't miss the next video. See you next time.